Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's discussion is going to be setting and achieving goals in college. In other words, if you're a student in college or you're getting ready to go to college and take some classes, what do you do? How do you make sure you achieve your academic goals? If you've read any of my articles that I talk about my experience in college, I'll just give you a brief background where I was at one point. About 5 years into my college degree, I still had another 2 years to go. I was just getting a 4-year degree, a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management. Now I was already working full-time in the industry that I was majoring in. I was majoring in construction management. So I was only taking classes part-time, but there was a class that I had to take, calculus, that if I could get all my other classes out of the way, and if I didn't pass that one, I wouldn't get my degree. And what I realized that I was doing was that when I was a young kid, my mom, and the way that she motivated me was to tell me how stupid I was, or that I'd never amount to anything, or I'd be just like my aunt so-and-so who was such an asshole or whatever. You're going to be just like your grandmother, you know, that kind of crap. I mean, she was negative about the way she went about things to try to motivate me to do what I needed to do. And when I got into college, and I had classes that became difficult because I was kind of lazy and I didn't study as hard as I should or that I needed to. And so when a class became difficult, hey, I would just drop the class. And I had dropped calculus 3 times. And what I realized when I got my first life coach was that he helped me discover that what I was doing to sabotage my own success is that I was so afraid to find out that I was really too stupid to pass that class that I just kept putting off my homework. And so I would let the stuff build up, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the semester, when we'd have our first test, then I'd be on a weekend trying to cram because I had just let it all basically pile up on me. And you know, if you know calculus, if you had to take it yourself, you just can't do that. And so what I realized that I was doing is, since I was so afraid that, you know, because one of our primary fears is that fear of success, fear of failure. And I was afraid of failing, basically. And so to me, psychologically, it was better to not know if I was smart enough to pass calculus. And so what I ended up doing is that I scheduled my work, that I had problems I had to do each week, and so I would break it down in little bite-sized chunks that I would do every night. So I do a few problems on Monday and a few problems on Tuesday, and I forced myself to do it. If I hadn't finished the day's goals of the stuff I was supposed to take care of, I wouldn't let myself go to bed, because then that meant I would be twice as far behind tomorrow night. And then, if I kept doing that, I'd be weeks into the semester, and then I ended up dropping calculus for the 4th time. Well, what I actually did when I started scheduling things this way is I did the work, and when it came time to test time, I knew the stuff pretty well, and I was stunned at that. And so I started doing well on tests, and when I finally got my grade for that class, I got an A in it. I was fucking flabbergasted. I mean, an A in calculus when I dropped the class 3 times, and what I was doing to psychologically sabotage my own success was just the way I was looking at doing the homework. It's like, what happens if I try this and I can't figure it out? What if I'm really as stupid as my mother used to say that I was, or that I would be, or that I would never amount to anything? And it would just make me feel really horrible and really awful. And so if you're setting and achieving goals in college and you're going to start taking some classes, the first thing that you need to take a step back for and take a look at is you got to choose something that you really like, that you really have a passion for, something that you got a burning desire that says, I want to be a veterinarian, or I want to be a financial planner, or I want to be a football player, or I want to be a chemist, or I want to be a real estate agent. I want to be a CEO of a company or an entrepreneur. Before you start taking any classes, if you're not sure what you want to do or what your major is, then take the general education classes, like the basic math classes and English and composition and your basic sciences like geology or physics, or any of those classes that are basic and that are going to be required for pretty much any degree that you can get. Take those classes and get those out of the way. Because if you go taking classes and you're kind of like, oh, well, that sounds kind of cool, or you're taking a major just because your parents want you to become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, and you don't have a passion for it, here's the bottom line. If you don't like it, if you don't like what you're doing, whether it's a career or studying, you're never going to be good at it. You know, if you pick classes or a major that just doesn't do it for you, but you're doing it because it's what you think you should do or your parents want you to do, it's like you're wasting your fucking time and your parents' money. So like I said, take the basic classes. You got to persist without exception. You got to develop good study habits. You want to set goals. I've got a great article that I wrote about setting and achieving goals and using emotional leverage, which I'll link to in this article, because there's no sense of me teaching that whole thing again. I'll just give you a simple link to it. But that's the important thing. So I'm going to read an email I got here. And she says, I'm one of your Facebook and Twitter followers. Recently you posted an article about making and keeping goals on your website. I'm a freelance writer for my online campus newspaper, and I'm currently writing a back-to-school article for September. My particular article is about how to have a successful academic year at college. I was wondering if you could give me any advice to put into my article. Obviously, like I talked about, the most important thing is that you better be choosing a career or a major that's something you really dig. And if you don't know what you want to do, take the general education classes and get those out of the way. Because, like I said, if you go taking classes and you change your major, you've just pissed away that time and that money taking a class that's you can't even get credit towards your degree for. So that really sucks. The third thing that's really important about setting and achieving goals is you got to write them down. And write them down, tape them to the back of your medicine cabinet mirror, or put them on your wall so you review them every single day, you look at them. And fourth, most important thing is you got to persist without exception. That means find a way, not a way out. If you're struggling in school or a class is kicking your ass, you need to go study with people that form a study group with people that know what they're doing or that know the subject, or get a tutor. There's always a way. Like I said, find a way, not a way out. And so if you find these video messages or my articles of value, anytime I offer you a nugget or you learn something from me that you think is really powerful, just click the PayPal donate button. It's down the right-hand side of the Wibia toolbar. And throw me a buck or a 5-spot or 20, 30 bucks anytime you get a nugget of knowledge that you feel is really valuable. At the very least, you can use the Twitter share or the Facebook or the LinkedIn share that's also down at the bottom of the screen as well, so you can share this page or article with your friends or family. And if you've got a question that you would like me to answer potentially in one of these future video newsletters, you can post it directly in the Facebook comments, or you can send me an email, and that address is also in the article. I'll talk to you soon.